I'm here today with my teacher Dharma Bodhi. Happy to have you here.
Good to be here.
We are organizing an event in Rotterdam next year, April 23 to April 26. And I thought it would be nice that you could help us along with some more information.
Yeah.
Because what is Ātmasakti Training and what is it, for who is it?
Ātmasakti Training is a type of foundation training. The most important thing to understand about foundation training is that it goes all the way along with you on a spiritual path. It's not something like preliminary you do as a prerequisite to get out of the way. So Ātmasakti Training then becomes actually the foundation of our own enlightenment training and the enlightenment realization we finally get. So Ātmasakti Training focuses on the individual and getting our individual strength as a practitioner. It's actually the first of 3 phases of Kundalini progress. You might have heard of Kundalini, this magical energy experience. The very first aspect of it is to develop ourselves in a very powerful package, which then we dissolve later. The problem is most practitioners are jumping right to the higher level practices immediately because that's pretty much what's available. Ātmasakti foundation practice is pretty much secret. In the traditions, it's oral tradition, no one does it. So they're jumping to the higher practices. So they get some spiritual result, right? But we're not getting people getting highly realized anymore because the foundation is missing. And that's what Ātmasakti is all about.
Right. Sounds like it's indeed a firm basis for any spiritual growth.
Right.
And how does it look like? Is it more meditation based or is it more dynamic?
Okay, Ātmasakti cycle of teachings has 2 components. One is the actual theory and the other one is the practice. The theory part is extremely important to understand. It makes sense. So many people come and they take the training and they realize, oh, that's where I've been going off a little bit, leaking a lot of energy, not paying attention to different aspects of myself that I should be paying attention to gain a solid foundation. Because in spirituality, it's no good if you hit a high, like take a drug and you come back down. You want to continually move up, make a plateau, move up, make a plateau. Like when you build a building. If I'm building a 20-story skyscraper, I have to go 10 stories deep first in the ground. I can't go up. It's exactly like that with Ātmasakti. So it's the theory part that gives us the way to contain the energy, not make mistakes, and guide the practice. And it's really about integration practice, everyday life. And then the practice set is a very unique set of practices that is a progressive set. So in the training, we learn the first 2 aspects of it, the first 2 phases of it, the first day, 3, 4, and the second day, 4, 5, 6, and the next day, like that. And that makes one package that actually brings us a deeper sense of cohesion. And what comes from it, what's amazing is your health gets better, which is really cool. Your mental attitude gets better for sure. You process out things that you didn't know you could process out just using a practice. You know, I needed psychotherapy for that, I thought, or I needed, whatever. And then your fortune actually changes because we're working at a root level with the karmas and understanding how karmas impact an individual, how an individual expresses their karmas, how to transform them. So we start to notice that it's like a wedge forms, and we call this agama karma, the 4th type of karma. A spiritual type of karma forms that creates a wedge out in front of you and creates more opportunity. And because you have the theory and you've been doing the practice, as the opportunity comes, you have more competency to take advantage of it.
Right.
It's no good having all these great opportunities, but you don't have the foundation in the Ātmasakti, in the soul power, to take advantage of it. That's kind of how it works.
Okay, sounds really cool. And is it something that you can practice daily at home?
Yeah, it's a very easy set. You can combine it with Hatha Yoga. Sometimes we use a special type of yoga called retreat yoga linked to it, but any kind of Hatha Yoga, Kundalini Hatha Yoga will work. You can practice that before it at home and do the set, or you can practice it as an independent meditation on its own. It has sounding, it has movement, it has a really incredible array of visualizations that are performed. It's quite incredible, all kind of very complete. But I'll do it on a plane and I won't sound. I'll just do it silently that time. Then I get to the hotel room and I'll do it out loud, It's also a great, it's an integration practice. So all day long we're integrating the teachings and the result of the practice from moment to moment to moment. So we get in present moment awareness, we invoke the feeling of the result of the practice, we invoke the remembrance of the principles of the teaching, and we integrate them with each moment, and that's how we really start to see progress.
All right, nice. And how would you say, would this be suitable to combine with other kind of practices? I mean, there are people who will come to the training who've had some experience in meditation or in Hatha Yoga.
Yeah.
How would you Look at that.
Though this system comes directly out of Shaivist non-dual yoga, since Shaivism gave birth to Vajrayana, Tibetan Buddhist yoga, Tantric yoga of India as well, it works for anybody who's practicing Bun, Vajrayana, Shaivism, yoga, if you just know generic yoga, as long as they're going towards this higher goal of spiritual realization, it definitely works.
Okay.
Taoism, any of it, actually, it's really works. You could be a Christian, actually, and it would work. It really wouldn't matter. So that's fine. And for advanced meditators, I often get that question, so I'm glad you asked it. I'm an advanced meditator. What do I have to learn about basics? And teasingly, I'll often look at them and say, well, are you there? Are you a Buddha yet? And you got nothing to lose, first of all. Second of all, you could have everything to gain. So, I consider myself an advanced meditator. I learned formally at 12. I didn't really take it up every day and as a practice till 15. But I'm 57 and I don't miss. So that's, a long time, 42 years. So I'm an advanced meditator. I've meditated through the highest levels of Mahamudra in Shaivism and Dzogchen practice as well as Wu Wei Taoism. And I can tell you, I still do the soul power practice.
Right.
I had discussions with my guru about this and with my Lama from Dzogchen about this, and it was very interesting that they both were like, well, of course. That was their thing, like, of course, you're a high meditator. You need these practices too, because they feed the whole system. So again, what I noticed was, if I worked with people who had pretty good meditation practice, but they weren't really going anywhere, it got stuck. You go back, you do soul power practice, it reignites the whole thing, it gets to a new level. I was teaching at a Zendo in Chicago. These people were into Zen, and it's like really high level non-dual meditation.
Right.
But the thing about Zen is, it often starts at what we would call stage 5, 6, or 7 of a 12-stage process that goes from ignorance to total enlightenment, the rainbow light body. So Zen practice starts at like 6, 7, 5, 6, 7, and there's no foundation, right? So it's great for people to have high aptitude. But most of the people at the training weren't that high aptitude. They were like us, normal,
Right.
And once we went into soul power practice, I started getting lots of emails, like 2-3 months later, 6 months later. Even I got one about a year later, and I did this training with them over 20 years ago. And they were saying, it's still feeding me. My Zen practice continues to open, and that's exactly the point,
Wow.
So even for the advanced meditators, you have nothing to lose except your ego, so that's good.
That's a good goal indeed.
Yeah.
And would you say that people who have little to no experience with meditation or yoga, would they also benefit from attending the Ātmasakti training?
Yeah, they would, and I would say why specifically, because we shouldn't enter into meditation practice that negates the self when we're a beginner, because it can be very disconcerting to the ego structure, to the mind, and can create a conflict. My guru used to call spiritual schizophrenia. I'm doing all this spiritual stuff and it's telling me like I'm not the body, I'm this other spiritual thing, yet I have kids and I have a job. It seems like I am the body, the job, the kids. And that kind of split is absolutely unnecessary in real non-dual tantric yoga. All of our life, our family, our work, our friends, everything should come with us.
Right.
So I love it because it is a foundation practice, therefore it's suitable for beginners, because it won't create that split. It's about becoming healthier, more in your body with present moment awareness. Really living life to the fullest, your sensations, all of your 5 senses, the livingness of your body, your health, and your fortune, and the nadi or path that you choose to go through life. That's a big aspect of the Ātmasakti training, discussing our purpose and how that pulls all of our energies together, of our 3 doshas if you're an Ayurveda person, and prana, tejas, ojas, and all these subtle energies that make up a human being get pulled together once we're really understanding that we need a purpose, that we have to accept incarnation, not dissociate and do transcendentalism. So this practice is definitely not about transcendentalism.
Right.
It's non-dual tantric yoga, and it's relative to any kind of, or relevant for any kind of sectarian practice. So it can fit in anything as long as you're into non-duality and you're into the yoga practice, the alchemy of becoming that all that is, all.
Right.
It's relevant, and then for beginners, it's no problem because it's actually focused on beginners, and it will make sure they stay grounded. This is really important.
Right.
Some people can have kind of mental breaks, and it's just not healthy because they're not taking the right approach to their training. It's too transcendental, or they're coming in too high too soon, and that's a major problem I see today.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So it's really great for everybody, beginner.
Yeah, nice. And continuing on that thread, can you briefly, without giving away too much, give a short overview of the topics or subjects about the way the training
Sure.
is?
So we started off teaching 3 key principles that organize the entire cycle of teachings of Ātmasakti. And these 3 key principles then are illustrated through many other sub-cycles in the teaching. And once you have these 3 keys, it's like, oh, wow, of course, you know, but then how to make it come out. And this is where the sub-cycles of teachings come in. So then we'll talk about what are actually the components of a human being. So in non-dual tantric yoga, we don't have a soul.
Right.
So we say soul power, the idea that you don't have a soul, but there's some power going on. And this is an English translation that I use because there's nothing else that can grab Ātmasakti in English. So we say that we're like a field of conscious energy that spontaneously arises. That's all we are. But having said that, there are different aspects of that field. So we go into 11 different aspects of that field. We break it up into 11 because there are 11 natural aspects to it. They all contribute to making a human being. This is the first time maybe a spiritual worker person's ever heard, I can have a checklist to see how I'm doing in all these areas to be more whole, to be more integral, you know? So we go into that in depth. We also understand the theory of karma in there, so we understand how we're producing what's happening for us, you know? We do the practice, and we do it step by step by step, and explain each aspect of it, explain how it works in the esoteric body, what are channels, what are chakras, what are the Sanskrit sound powers that we're making, why are we making them, you know? All these different ideas, we go through this, bindus, what's a bindu, and so on. So there's many aspects that we'll go through, and we call it sub-cycles, right? It's one big teaching, but there are many, many aspects to that teaching. So it'll touch on areas that are, we would think of as mundane, you know, regular health, all the way up to the sublime, how the enlightened being has 3 bodies in one. This is a symbol that's used in Kashmir Shaivism, right? So this is like a trident, a pitchfork, is the symbol of Shiva. So like this one on my shoulder. So you can see that there's Shiva itself, the ultimate spaciousness of loving awareness. There's the energy of unlimited potentiality that arises, the Shakti, which is co-equal to Shiva. And then there's this, which is the Nara, or Ātmasakti, which is where the name of the teachings come from. Ātmasakti means that individual who's enlightened. When we're a Ātmasakti, we have the ability to be in the dual world and retain our non-dual experience of it at the same time. The Shiva, the spaciousness and love, is pure non-dual. The potential energy of everything is pure non-dual. This is the one where we bridge between dual and non-dual. This is the Ātmasakti. So we spend a fair bit of time explaining how these 3 kaya, or 3 bodies, function within our fully realized person as one. That's some of the things we do.
Well, I have to say, if I wasn't hyped up already, I am now.
Me too.
Nice. Well, actually, I'm looking really much forward to this retreat. And for all of the people who have been watching, I encourage you to check on the link and get your tickets today. There are quite a bit of tickets left. And Dharma, I want to thank you for this interview.
My pleasure.
Looking forward to seeing you in Rotterdam,
Yeah.
April 23, 2020. See you then.
See you in Rotterdam.